The full moon hung low in the sky, casting a ghostly glow on the quiet village of Katibo. Suddenly, a chilling howl pierced the air and shattered the silence, followed by another, and another, until the valley echoed with a terrifying symphony. Before anyone could react, a sea of wolves encircled the village, their snarls and glowing eyes freezing everyone in terror. Dozens of gleaming eyes emerged from the shadows, encircling the village like a moving, snarling wall. The villagers could not leave, or enter. Then, from the pack, a figure emerged, a snow-white wolf, enormous and majestic, its piercing amber eyes seeming to hold the weight of centuries. The snow-white wolf stood still, its gaze fixed on the village gates, as if it were waiting for something, or someone. What had drawn the wolves here? Why now? And most importantly, how would the village survive? The village of Katibo had always been peaceful, nestled in a valley surrounded by dense forests. Life here was predictable, until that fateful night. It started with a faint rustling at the forest's edge. Villagers going about their nightly routines glanced nervously into the dark trees. Then came the first howl. Distant at first, it grew louder, joined by a chorus that seemed to come from all directions. As the howls grew louder, the villagers, who were out tending to late-night chores, sprinted toward the gates, only to find them locked. Inside, children clung to their parents, their wide eyes reflecting the flickering light of oil lamps. Those caught outside the gates pounded and screamed for entry, but the wolves' growls warned of dire consequences if anyone dared approach. From the gates, the night watchman saw them first, countless wolves emerging from the shadows, their glowing eyes flickering like embers in the moonlight. At the forefront stood the snow-white wolf, towering above the others. Unlike the snarling pack, it was silent, its gaze steady and deliberate. Panic spread through the village. Mothers gathered their children, farmers ran for their tools, and the gates were locked. Inside, the village elders convened in haste. The elders sat in a circle in the central courtyard, their faces etched with worry, the air was thick with fear. Elder Massacre, the oldest and wisest among them, spoke first. "This is no ordinary wolf pack," he said gravely. "Their leader is unlike anything I've seen. Something has disturbed the balance." The others nodded. The snow-white wolf's behavior was strange. It didn't attack, but its presence was commanding. It seemed to hold the other wolves in check, like a king reigning over his subjects. "What does it want?" asked Elder Mambo. Massacre shook his head. "We must find out, or this night will not end well." It was then that they noticed something extraordinary. The white wolf was pacing in front of the gates, its amber eyes meeting those of anyone who dared to look. Its movements were deliberate, almost as if it were trying to communicate. Suddenly, an old voice broke the silence. It was Baba Chukibi, the village's oldest resident, leaning on his cane as he approached the elders. "That wolf is not here for blood," Baba Chukibi said. "It's here for balance." The elders turned to him, confused. "When I was a boy, the wolves and humans lived in harmony," Baba Chukibi explained. "The white wolf is the guardian of the forest, the one who speaks for the pack. When the balance is disturbed, it comes not to kill, but to remind us of our place." The elders exchanged uneasy glances. Could the logging near the sacred forest have provoked this? Or the recent overharvesting of game? Could it be the new moon harvest, or did we cut more than we needed? They speculated. Massacre raised his hand to silence them. "Speculation won't save us. We must act, and fast." As the elders debated, a solution became clear. They needed the help of Simulizi, the village storyteller, whose words were said to carry magic. The elders decided to summon the village's hidden treasure Simulizi, whose tales were said to calm even the fiercest beast. Simulizi listened carefully as the situation was explained. Simulizi gave a condition to the elders: he needed time to prepare, for his stories required special ingredients, herbs, symbols, and chants that would awaken their magic. To calm a guardian spirit, he said, "We must tell a story that honors its past and promises a better future. But I will need time to prepare." While Simulizi worked, the villagers used every scrap of wood to fortify their homes. Armed with torches, they created a perimeter of fire and made noises to keep the wolves at bay. Meanwhile, the snow-white wolf continued its strange vigil, pacing and watching, as if waiting for a response, and as the hours passed, the wolves grew bolder, their glowing eyes and snapping jaws inching closer. Finally, when the preparations were complete, Simulizi emerged. Draped in a vibrant, patterned cloak, he climbed atop the tallest hut, carrying his drum and a pouch of sacred herbs. He lit the herbs, letting their fragrant smoke waft toward the wolves, and began to drum. The wolves stilled. Even the white wolf sat, its piercing eyes fixed on Simulizi. Simulizi began his story, his voice deep and rhythmic. Long ago, the forest was whole, and all who lived within it shared its bounty. The wolves and humans hunted together, never taking more than they needed. But as time passed, greed took hold, and the bond was broken. The wolves retreated, vowing never to return unless the balance was restored. He spoke of a time when wolves and humans lived in harmony, bound by a sacred promise. But one fateful day, that bond was broken when humans took more than they gave back. The wolves, driven by hunger and betrayal, returned to remind them of their pact. The wolves seemed to understand. The white wolf tilted its head, as if listening intently. As Simulizi drummed and chanted, the wolves paused. Their ears twitched, their eyes softened, and their growls quieted. One by one, they sat, mesmerized by the rhythm of his voice and the glow of the herbs burning in the fire. As Simulizi's tale reached its climax, he turned to the white wolf directly. "We have wronged you, great guardian, but we ask for forgiveness. We pledge to honor the forest once more, to live in harmony as we once did." The white wolf rose and let out a long, echoing howl. The pack responded in unison, their voices filling the night. The villagers watched in awe. Never before had they seen such a transformation. Simulizi's tale brought a promise of renewal and balance. The leader of the wolves let out a single, echoing howl. With that, the pack turned and vanished into the forest. The next morning, the village was quiet, but the air was different, lighter, as if a burden had been lifted. The villagers gathered in the courtyard, where the elders led a ceremony to reaffirm their promise to the forest. They pledged to honor the forest, taking only what they needed and giving back in gratitude. Simulizi was hailed as a hero, though he humbly reminded them that it was the story, not he, that had saved them. Baba Chukibi spoke last. "The white wolf reminded us of something we had forgotten, that we are part of the forest, not its masters." From that day on, the villagers worked to restore the balance. They replanted trees, hunted sparingly, and celebrated the forest's bounty with gratitude. Though the wolves were never seen again, their howls sometimes echoed through the valley, a haunting yet hopeful reminder of the night the snow-white wolf came to Katibo, a beautiful reminder of the bond they had once nearly lost. And so, the village of Katibo became known as the place where stories saved lives, proving that even in the darkest times, words have the power to unite, heal, and transform. And so, the story of the white wolf became a legend, passed down through generations. A tale of respect, harmony, and the enduring power of a promise kept.